And we are live. So, it's been quite a while since we got ourselves together here, and it's good to see some familiar faces. I've got Brom Bones in the house here tonight, and then we've got John K. Alvarez, his government name. He was Johnny Kai's from the neighborhood for a while there, but now he's out of witness protection, and he can resume his normal life again,
I've been gone so long, I thought people might want to know what my real name was.
Yeah, it matters, man. It matters. So, here we are in episode 75 of An American Werewolf in New Jersey. Very cool. And we're back with our second top 10 list. It's been, how long ago was that first one? About 5 months ago when we did that?
Something like that.
Quite a while ago. It was about 30 plus episodes or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are, our top 10 favorite fantasy movies. Now, anyone who knows me knows I live in a complete fucking fantasy land anyway. So why shouldn't I be, here with a fantasy movie list? But I'm actually looking forward to this and covering some cool movies. So if you guys are ready, shall we get it going?
Let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
Boogie woogie. So
that was the coolest intro ever.
I've got to work on it some more. It goes on for a little bit longer. I gotta just fooling around with the editing. I said that I was going to knock some more things out over Thanksgiving, but I didn't.
Damn, man, all right.
Yeah,
we're getting there a little bit at a time. So, I mean, like I was saying before we went on air, there was some discussion / disagreement about what the parameters of a fantasy movie was. Hold on a second. I'm gonna look this up real quick because I did what exactly I Googled what a fantasy movie was. And basically it says that what is it? What makes a film fantasy? Let's look at it this way. It's a genre that incorporates imaginative and fantastic themes. These themes usually involve magic, supernatural events, or fantasy worlds. Although it is its own distinct genre, these films can overlap into the horror and sci-fi genre. So I kept it very broad. I said with the exclusion, I tried to stay away from, overt comedies. Although obviously, most fantasy movies have elements of comedy in them. It's just unavoidable. But I thought that, the more broad that we kept it, the lesser the probability of having a lot of overlap. Right. So here we are with our lists. I feel that we should kind of get right into it. I thought we'd do this kind of round robin. We'd start with Ryan and then go to John and then to myself in the end. So let me get the banners that I haven't broken out since the last top 10 lists. Very cool here. And Ryan, number 10. What do you got for us? Look, Ryan's going to kick it off. He's going to get it started.
All right.
Lay it on us, brother.
I am coming out the gate here with a classic.
Okay.
1981's Clash of the Titans.
There it is.
All right.
Uh,
That was it was between this or Jason and the Argonauts.
Okay.
But I love this movie. This turned me on to Greek mythology. I am a freak for Greek mythology. I've taught it, I've read it, I've seen as many movies as I can about it. This is one of the coolest movies out there. It was Ray Harryhausen's swan song, his magnum opus, and it came out at a time when his Dynamation, that stop motion, was pretty much over with,
Yeah, coming to a close.
Yeah, and but the stuff they were able to do, they got a great cast in it. I mean, who better to play Zeus than Laurence Olivier? And my favorite scene in that scared the absolute hell out of me when I was little was the Medusa scene. As far as I'm concerned, the Medusa scene is the penultimate scene in that movie. I think it's Harryhausen's best work. Just the tension of that scene, the red lighting, the sound of Medusa, that kind of me. Just the guys getting shot and falling in the acid or turning into stone. It's a wild scene, but it's so much fun. It's such a fun movie. And, people can argue that Greek mythology technically doesn't fall under fantasy, but I would argue that it does. It's got magic elements. It's got a friggin' flying horse. I mean, and Pegasus, but it's an absolutely fantastic movie, and I refuse to see the remake. I had no desire to see that remake, and it's always going to be a movie that I will go to because it's just, and some people can argue that it hasn't aged well, but I think that's part of its charm. It's kind of cheesy, but it's fun. I mean, it's a great movie. It's got some great scenes in it, and it's so much fun. That Kraken scene at the end is fantastic. Just everything about it. I think that was probably the most that they used Harryhausen's effects, if I'm not mistaken. That was more than in Jason and the Argonauts or like the Sinbad movies or any of that. This was it. This was his, like I said, his swan song. So he was going out with a bang. And it's just such a fun, fantastic, awesome movie.
All right. Go ahead, John.
3 words: release the Kraken.
Yeah,
that's it.
That has traveled now in other movies
and many other contexts. Yeah,
I saw the remake on purpose. I went to see how they were going to handle it with CGI, and even though I like the CGI, I like the story, the original Clash of the Titans storyline better. They didn't have to build it up.
No,
all Greek mythology, because I teach some of that in theater history.
Yeah.
Mythology is the humans striving to overcome whatever the obstacle is.
Oh yeah,
and that was more than, because the other movie, I forget who it was. Like, he was the son of Zeus, so he was extra strong.
I know.
Don't want to hear it. But this was really, really. It's a great pick, man. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah,
Zeus is shaking the rattle.
Yeah, and they
crap out of me too, man.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is that they adhered to the Perseus myth enough. I mean, they had all the cool parts of the Perseus myth with him killing Medusa, saving Andromeda. Those are like the main things. The stuff with him and Danae getting cast out into the sea and the coffin and all. That's all from the Perseus myth. The thing is, with Greek mythology, you're always going to change it up because there's always like elements that you're going to pull, but I thought they did a decent job overall with the actual Perseus myth.
It's great. I mean, it's supposed to be fun,
right? Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Not, it's not to be taken as an academic course.
No, it's a popcorn movie.
I mean, it's fun. I haven't seen it in a very, very long time. I
haven't
remember.
Man.
I do remember, enjoying it a great deal. There is a good feeling that comes from seeing that old sort of stop animation
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we grew up with.
Mhm.
And that cements in our mind. I mean, I enjoy a
Yeah.
good CGI movie as much as the next guy.
Mhm.
I wasn't terribly fond of the remake, but I mean, it's okay. But yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, it's a solid pick. It's a solid pick. I could see
Yeah,
why someone would go that way.
I think stop motion after that wasn't really used for a long time. It wasn't until, I mean, you had small things. You had Harryhausen's protege, Phil Tippett, who
Mm.
then, did a lot of puppetry and stop motion
Mm.
stuff with Star Wars and all that. But I don't think stop motion really came to a real larger scale until like The Nightmare Before Christmas, which was a
Yeah.
full stop motion film. That was kind of the next step
Burton
in,
and Burton wanted to
you
do
know,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Burton went out of his way to do that as a stop motion feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was a young Sherlock Holmes where they started doing
Oh,
stop motion,
yeah.
but they did that with a computer.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a
Yeah.
trick. They started doing stop motion with computers. So you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about drawing as much,
Mhm.
because purely to save time. But it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
the same. It's
Yeah.
not the same at all.
No.
All right, good pick. No
All
problem.
right.
Sounds
Thanks.
good to me. All right,
Yeah.
John, number 10. What do you got for us?
For me, number 10 is a fantasy movie with a little bit of romance because I'm a romantic at heart. Lady Hawk, 1985.
right.
Oh,
Nice pick.
nice.
Little Rutger Hauer. This might be the first introduction of Rutger Hauer since
You
we
know-
opened up the show.
Yeah.
I want to see this movie. I've never seen it.
All right.
You'd be
John, go
amazed.
ahead.
Let me give it's Michelle Pfeiffer after Scarface, before Witches of Eastwick,
Mhm.
Matthew Broderick after War Games, and before Ferris Bueller,
Mhm.
and Rutger Hauer right after, like a year or two after Blade Runner.
Okay.
And it's directed, which surprises me all the time, Richard Donner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Richard Donner directed this movie, and
That's
it always
cool.
blows my mind because I'm waiting for like Rutger Hauer to do like a Mel Gibson line from Lethal Weapon up to that point. But the point about it was it's a tragic love story
Okay.
with a little bit of humor.
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick talking to God
Yeah.
throughout the movie is hysterical. But and the point about it was when you saw the love or the emotion, because they were never really together to the end of the film, spoiler alert, between
Mhm.
Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer, it drew you. When I first saw this movie, I'm going, oh, this is cute. Towards the end, I was rooting for him. I was literally screaming at the screen, God damn it, come on. You wanted the heroes to win.
Mhm.
And I think
That's
it's one of
cool.
the charms in the fantasy genre.
Mhm.
You do want the hero to win.
Yeah.
They all have a journey they have to do. And in
Mhm.
this one, it was three between Hauer, Pfeiffer, and Broderick.
Yeah.
But they had to go through this, and it was low budget.
Okay.
A lot of camera tricks too, because Rutger Hauer converts into a wolf during the day or during the night, and she converts into a hawk during the day.
Okay. Yeah.
Hawk. But the way they blend and move, I mean, there's moments in this I'm going, I'll put this up besides being a fantasy movie. For a romantic movie, I'll put this up against the what's that one they're always talking about?
Princess Bride.
No. Nicholas Sparks' book. The
The Notebook or something.
I'll put this up even against the Notebook for a romance story.
Okay.
Fantasy realm.
I like a good romance story too. I mean, I remember this, and again, this is another one I haven't seen in a very, very long time.
Wow. Yeah.
But it brings a good feeling,
Mm-hmm.
to remember it again. And there were a number of movies that came out in the 80s that fell into this sort of, fantasy romance.
Mhm.
And I do recall this being one of the better ones. I know which one is my personal favorite. But yeah, this was definitely one of the ones that.
And it's one of the most underappreciated Matthew Broderick roles. Because
Okay.
he was really funny in this movie.
Oh, that's cool.
Playing a thief, like a serf.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Middle Ages, and but his comments as he's talking to God are right. They're classic.
Now,
Very
did
cool.
Donner was this before Lethal Weapon or like after
Before.
Superman? Like
Or
in between?
Lethal Weapon. After
After Superman.
came
Yeah,
1985.
Okay, 85.
So it was right before. It was right before Lethal Weapon.
There was
Yeah.
a huge crush of those movies that just bottlenecked.
Oh
and
God, yeah, man.
I always take great pride in hating on the Princess Bride.
Oh,
Because
jeez.
just so many people love to fall over themselves. That you fucking hump, fuck you and your Princess Bride.
Dude, I was this close to putting Kroll on this list.
Oh, that would have been an all-time classic, bro.
I have that. Yeah,
Kroll.
Sadly, Kroll is not on my list either, but
It's not on mine either. Shit. Well, it's an honorable mention then.
Who can
It's an
forget
honorable
Kroll?
I did. I was like, I came to close and I said, no, I'll do it, Lady Hawk.
Oh, dear God. All right. Maybe we'll have to come back with like a top 5 honorable mentions or something like that.
There we go. That's
We'll
cool.
come back for top 5 honorable mentions. Just 5.
Yeah.
All right. Did anybody want to add anything to Lady Hawk? I'm sorry.
No, go for it. It's your turn.
Oh, it is. Hey, all right. It's me. Yeah. That's up to me. All right. I went with a movie that when I saw it, I'd never seen anything like it, and I've still never seen anything like it. I'm going with 2001, I believe. No, not 2001. A Space. No. I mean, the year that I saw it was in 2001. I'm going with Richard Linklater's Waking Life.
Ooh.
I never heard of that.
This was a movie that Bill turned me on to, Bill Bengal. I believe at the time that it came out. And wherever I am these days, I have to have a copy of this. And when I came back to America and got those movies, I think my copy of Waking Life may have made it. It may not have, but whatever it is right now, I have a copy with me. And I've never, ever even heard of a movie like this before. And it's essentially the story of this kid played by Wiley Wiggins, who was one of Linklater's go-to. If you saw his movie Dazed and Confused, he was the 8th grader who was kind of the star of the movie, transitioning to high school, and sort of transitioning into like an older, more experienced life, drinking beer and smoking weed in the 70s, that kind of thing. And so he brings Wiley Wiggins back in this animated film about this kid who's crossing the street and he gets hit by a car. And from there, he's sort of transported into this voyeuristic thing where he's observing all these different conversations and people going off about all these, about like existentialism and religion and what's going on in society and the way the brain works. And it's these like 3 to 5 minute little vignettes right on top of the other, and he just goes from one to another, and it's just beautiful to watch. And what he can't get out of it. He can't get out. Like he wakes up and like there's this distortion on his like alarm clock, and he can't. After a while, he starts to become very frustrated, and what he starts to believe is that he's actually dead. And he's trying to figure out if he's actually in the land of the dead or in some sort of transitory place. I guess that he's gone to until he can accept, or if he can accept that he's died. And the end scene where he goes into the bar and the director, Richard Linklater, is there, and he just goes up to him and starts talking to him while Linklater's playing a game of pinball about this story that transforms into the Book of Acts, is just one of the most mind-blowing things I've ever seen. It's got an ensemble cast of Ethan Hawke's in it. Julie Delpy's in it. Alex Jones is in it. It's like this weird ensemble of people. From
Alex Jones
from 20 years ago. Because Linklater was a resident of Austin, Texas. And so he was very familiar with the scene down there. And he made these small sort of independent movies before he went on to like bigger things. He made, to me, what is in my mind perhaps the greatest trilogy of all time, which is those, and speaking of romantic movies, those Before movies.
Yeah.
the before sunset, sunrise, and then before midnight.
Right.
But this movie just knocks you
okay.
on your ass.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. And I think it's actual people being filmed, but then they painted over the frames.
Yeah.
So it's like rotoscoping almost.
Yeah, with like animation, and it's just
Yeah.
mind blowing to watch. He did another movie like this called The Scanner Darkly, based on Philip K. Dick's novel
with
Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder and Robert Downey Jr. And it's just knocks you on your ass, man.
That animation style rotoscoping that was made famous. Well, I mean, Disney did it, but it was made famous by Ralph Bakshi when he did his Lord of the Rings movies. They did a lot of that rotoscoping kind of thing. It's almost like a precursor to motion capture, you know. But I'm not familiar with Linklater's movies.
He's one of my favorite directors.
I like Linklater a lot. I saw this movie and actually judge people sometimes if they like it or not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's not like I'm trying to be a snob.
Yeah.
First time I saw it, I got so excited, and I'm talking to actor friends of mine.
Yeah.
And some of them went, and some of them came out very excited, and other ones go, "You people are nuts! I didn't get it."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I wouldn't understand if somebody said that to me.
What year did this movie come out?
2001.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. You said 2001.
2001.
I was 20 years old, and it was. I mean, and you're right. It was like that because I remember seeing it going, "Holy shit!" And I was thinking of theater monologues on top of theater monologues on top of, and they're all connecting.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Let's check it out.
Maybe one day, maybe during the Christmas break, you can come over and watch it or something.
Yeah. That's fine.
All right. That brings. God, I'm sorry, John.
Oh no, I was going to just make a joke saying since Dazed and Confused had an 8-year-old 8th grader getting high and drunk with high school kids in the 70s, can we put that in a fantasy movie too?
That's probably not much of a fantasy. No, that's probably you didn't grow up around here. That wasn't. Yeah, that was pretty much reality.
Where I grew up, it was in 6th grade.
All right, hold on a second.
In high school, 10 years old, drinking pony bottles.
It sounds about right. We got some comments here. Eric is in the house. He says, "All right, boys, I made it. I hope I didn't miss too much. We're just on number 10, Eric. This seems like a good segue to take us to, hold on, we got another comment here. He goes, if you're still on number 10, can you repeat what I've missed so far? So for number 10, Ryan came up with 1981's Clash of the Titans. John came up with 1985's Lady Hawk. And I came up with 2001's Waking Life from Richard Linklater. Okay, that's going to take us to number 9.
Number 9?
Numero 9. Ryan, what do you got for us?
Okay, now I know we're not huge Disney fans here, but you can't deny Walt had an eye for fantasy. Number 9 is the all-time classic, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Nice.
All right.
James Mason, Kirk Douglas, Peter Lorre. Okay. This movie, now you could, but that's sci-fi. It's sci-fi fantasy. Okay.
I don't know where you're getting all. Yeah, go ahead. All right.
What? No, I love Jules Verne. I've read the book, and this movie is just, I mean, it's if you haven't seen it, you got to see it. It's just one of those movies that like everybody needs to see. Yeah. James Mason, that's his kind of career defining role, Captain Nemo. I mean, like, you know, Gregory Peck had Ahab, but Mason had Nemo, and he just nails it. And Kirk Douglas as Ned Land is fantastic, and the fight with the squid is the highlight. And the way they did that was awesome. It's not even a like cheesy looking puppet. They used a pretty big puppet, but the way it looks is the Nautilus is such a cool shape. It's so iconic, and it's just an American classic, and I love it. And I think that's one of the better adaptations of a Jules Verne novel, honestly. I mean, they took like the good parts from the novel, you know, and made it into the movie. They switched a couple things around, but man, it's such a cool movie. It's another one that's a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's. Go ahead, John.
Hello, I'm Captain Nemo.
Yeah.
Nautilus.
Yeah.
I was 5 years old and saw that movie for the first time in a drive-in
Wow.
with my dad and my mom in a station wagon. This is how we're gonna let's really go. And when that squid scene came, I remember jumping into the front seat where mom and dad were, because I was like, "What the hell is that?"
That's cool.
Loved that movie, and I agree with you about Walt. Walt did have an eye. Another one that was almost on my list was Fantasia, the original one.
Oh yes, I love Fantasia.
But for that reason, but he and somebody who has that eye can tell the story better.
Exactly.
Walt made some cash, yes, but he also knew how to tell a story.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
If you like it or not, that's up to you. But the story's there. You know.
Yeah.
And I liked it too a lot. Very good. Very good call.
Yeah.
It's for me. It's another movie I haven't seen in forever. Again, it's another movie though that
it's on Disney Plus.
Oh, is it really? Maybe I'll have to catch it one of these days. Okay, I've got Disney. Yeah, I've got the Disney bundle. So I'll have to check it out again. Obviously, I'm a big James Mason fan. Because my favorite role from him is as Straker.
Yeah.
In Salem's Lot. But it's I mean, why wouldn't you? And Jules Verne is awesome. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That works. Absolutely. I don't know that. I just want to say real quick. I don't know that there's any anti-Disney fans here. I think I've just got. I think for me personally, I've got Marvel fatigue. That's what.
That's true.
But it's not anti-Disney or anything.
No, I know. Yeah.
All right.
I'm anti-Disney. No, kidding.
I was going to say, well, wait a minute. Maybe I take that back because all right, fuck it. I don't like.
No, I like that. I have another Disney movie on the list, so
Huh?
Bedknobs and broomsticks. I'll never forgive them.
Well,
Bedknobs and broomsticks.
You shouldn't. So, all right.
Gosh.
All right. John, number 9. What do you got for us?
I have one of another good storyteller.
Okay.
From 1986, Jim Henson and George Lucas, Labyrinth.
Yes.
All right.
Oh man, you know what, John? I was going to put this on the list, and I'm glad I didn't because you already have it on there, so that's good.
No,
what a movie!
When I was in college, it was me. Here's the name for you, Lep. Kyle McGovern.
Okay.
And 2 other actresses whose names I cannot remember. We were sitting in a house. We saw some scary movie that somebody was telling us was scary from that era. We laughed our way through it. Then we watched Labyrinth as a fluke, and we were drilled to it. We were like, "Oh my god,
what a movie!"
And it's amazing because down here there are people who are 20 years, 30 years younger than me, and they find this movie. They really do. They get into this flick. There's something about the fantasy of the girl. Of course, the baby's crying. But then all of a sudden, when she says it, it's gone. And now, and again, it's her quest.
Yeah, it's an absolutely amazing film. To this day, I love it. I mean, it put Jennifer Connelly on the map, and it's easy to laugh at David Bowie's big cod piece, but he was fantastic in that. Yeah, he was fantastic in it. And it's a movie I think that endures to this day. My daughter loves this movie. And I'm so glad you put that on the list. That's an awesome pick. I love that movie. Yeah.
Hold on a second. Eric's here and he says, yes, I knew Labyrinth would make it on someone's list. It had to. Amazing puppetry and just so creative. Very dark at times too, that Henson definitely could be at times. Let me just simply say, I've never seen it.
Okay. I have it.
I never got around. It's one of those things I just never got around to it.
Yeah.
It was nothing against it. Obviously, I like Bowie and, nothing against Henson. I never saw it.
Yeah. And
maybe I'll have to check it out. Because I can't remember for some reason recently, and I can't remember why. I saw a trailer for it.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh, okay. And
Maybe
it was just a couple of days ago.
We saw it in the movies. Fathom Events had the anniversary of it.
Oh, did they really?
What
Okay.
number it was? Yeah. And we took the kids, and it was so much fun. That is one of my all-time. I absolutely love that film. That's great.
Next spring, I think it's the 35th anniversary.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
Maybe I'll have to check it one of these days. All right.
Bowie has one of my favorite lines in that movie when he moves the clock as the chef's
Yeah.
time. And Jennifer Connelly looks at him and goes, "That's cheating."
Mm-hmm.
That's who? What book are you reading?
Yeah, exactly.
He dismisses her with a way.
Yeah.
He's the Goblin King, and
Mm-hmm.
they rocked the house, man.
It did.
I was stunned how much I enjoyed it.
And it was actually written. It was written by Terry Jones from Monty Python.
Yeah.
And it's the guy Brian Frood who created the Goblins. His son played the baby, Toby, who is now himself a puppeteer and does all that stuff. And it's just an amazing legacy. I mean, Jim Henson. There's actually a Jim Henson movie on my list, but Jim Henson was just. To me, he was just it. I mean, he was almost like a god to me. I loved everything that man did, And when he died, I remember the day he died, and I was just in absolute tears. I mean, my friend told me at school, and I came home and just bawled my eyes out because this man was my childhood. The stuff that he did. What an imagination.
Yep.
Well, I'll have to go. I'll have to see if I can catch it. I'm sure it's probably available
I have
on any
it,
of the
Mike.
streaming services. I'm sure I can pull it up on
I can
streaming.
have it to you.
I think I have one too, like DVD. We still have one of them.
That might even be on Disney Plus now. I mean,
I'll take a look.
Actually, it might
Probably
be.
Amazon. Probably on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon definitely. Yeah.
All right, so that brings me to
you,
me. Hey, one more time. All right, it's me. Me. I said, what was it? Hugo Weaving in Matrix. Me. All right, that brings me to number 9, and I'm going with a more modern classic. And knock it if you will, but I love these movies, and I own all of them. And I'm going with this one, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I remember going to see this touted movie called Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And I remember walking out of there saying, it was a kid's movie. I'm like, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell was that? And like it had moments that I enjoyed, but you're just like, and it was like wizards chess, and you're just like, okay, I'm like, all right, all right, let's stick it out. I play, whatever.
Right.
By the time you got to this movie, though, it was so bleak,
right,
and so dark.
Yep.
I mean, I think by the time we got to that movie, sunlight had just disappeared from all the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was just the overcast as Ralph Fiennes got closer and closer, and I thought Ralph Fiennes was just amazing in this.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't even in this movie.
He's
not in this particular movie, but I mean in his particular performance.
Yeah.
Throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
To Alan Rickman, who just maybe put on the performance of a lifetime throughout the entire saga, and you're watching this character development. So I knew that I wanted to pick one of these.
Yeah.
And I started to maybe almost go with like the Goblet of Fire or something along those lines. But I ended up going with this one, which leads to the death of Dumbledore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the betrayal by Alan Rickman as Snape, who ends up killing him. And it just leaves you on such a cliffhanger because you're just like, what the hell just happened?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't read any of the books.
Okay.
Until I think I had finished all of I think I'd seen all the movies, and then like I think I mentioned this once before. I found the entire book set on sale for like $30 somewhere, and I just like plowed through them. But I mean, I thought this was just a fantastic movie. One of the better of the series, maybe the best one.
Okay.
Before they got to the Deathly Hollows, which I had a on again, off again sort of feeling about.
See, I think I saw all those movies once, so they kind of all blend together. I know I did see some of them in the movie theater, and I can't remember which ones. And like the last movie, I don't remember being too fond of Deathly Hallows because it just seemed like I couldn't see anything. Everything was just dark.
Right.
It's very dark. Yeah, they're very dark.
No, I mean dark like it was just like
visually.
Dark.
Yeah,
the whole movie. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely want to go back and see these movies. I think I have the first 3 books that I haven't read them yet.
I own them all on Blu-ray, and I own special editions. So like several of them are like extended cuts.
Oh wow, okay.
They're fucking phenomenal.
Okay. Nice.
Eric says, I've been slowly watching the Harry Potter movies with my wife. Never seen them. We've gotten to part 4 so far, and they seem to get darker and darker. I'm really enjoying the darker tones. Yeah, it becomes a lot less of a kid's movie. And it's solid shit. Yeah.
And so did the books. That's the point. When the books it was very young, but as they got older, it got heavier. I can see why you were saying the Goblet of Fire, because to me that's where the switch really happens.
It starts, that's the turning point.
People start to die. People start to die in that.
That's when you go, wait, what?
Yeah, it's not even. It's not even that they're dying; it's that they're being murdered.
Right.
Yeah, and that's when the stakes are higher. And
And that's why when it got to the Deathly, not the Deathly Hour, it was the Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah,
when I got to the ending of that movie, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, and then it goes in that. It also goes in that direction. You don't think so because Harry ends up hooking up with Ginny Weasley. And you're just like, okay, I didn't see that coming. But the way it's done in the film is so damn cute. It's just it's extremely cute. So
I will say those. I have to say those movies have some of the best ensemble casts. They found like every British actor and threw them in here. I mean, just from the first movie all the way to the last. And some of the movies, you wish we got more of them. Like, I thought Kenneth Branagh was hysterical in the one that he was in.
Oh, yeah.
And then he didn't come back. And I'm like, wow, what? And we had Emma Thompson. We had, obviously, Maggie Smith. Well, we had the great Richard Griffiths. We had all these such great character actors.
Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson. Friggin' Gary Oldman. I mean, it was, it's like every British actor is in those movies.
It starts out with Richard Harris.
As
Dumbledore. And you get to realize at this point what a bastard Dumbledore really is.
Right.
Like he's not a child's, kind of wizard.
No, he's not.
You set the boy up to be slaughtered.
Yeah, like a pig.
Yeah,
which he does. He sets him up to die.
Yep.
He sacrifices him. Yeah.
Hey, I saw Richard Harris did an interview because he didn't know who Harry Potter was.
Okay.
When they asked him to do it. And his daughter said, go ask your granddaughter. She's reading one now.
Yeah.
Reading the 4th book. And Richard Harris went to her and said, do you know Harry Potter? And they said, yeah. They said, well, they're asking me to play Dumbledore. And the daughter closed the book with her finger in the book. And he looked at him and said, Grandpa, if you don't play Dumbledore, I will never speak to you again. And that's why he said, okay. And then,
Who's the guy who ends up playing him after that? I can't remember.
Michael Gambon. That was Michael Gambon.
Yeah. He's kind of a darker Dumbledore.
Yeah.
I mean, the stories get darker, but somehow I can't picture Richard Harris being that much of a bastard.
Well, yeah, but you wonder though. You
Yeah.
wonder if Richard Harris had lived and had continued with those parts. I wonder how he would have played it, how he would have interpreted it against, Gambon's performance,
Yeah.
Um, it's
Because
it's
I'm betting
interesting.
Gambon never thought he was a villain.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I think he probably played it as a means to an end.
Yeah. Okay.
Hold on a second. Eric says my sister-in-law once met Alan Rickman at a pub during
Wow.
Sundance one day.
That's awesome.
Had her picture taken. Being a librarian, the kids thought she was the coolest. She said he was just so laid back and nice. That's awesome. That's an awesome
I love
story.
Alan
Who wouldn't
Rickman,
want to meet
man.
Alan Rickman?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That
Who
was
wouldn't want
such
to
a
meet Alan
sin.
Rickman?
Such a
Yeah,
sin
when he died.
The same
Yeah.
year as Bowie, too. They died
Yeah.
like a couple months apart from each other, I think.
That's
Yeah.
There were two wizards that looked at each other and said, "All right, let's check out."
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Shit.
I know. Jeez.
Jesus Christ.
All right. Let's get to numero ocho.
Okay.
And
Well,
that goes to Ryan. Ryan, what do you got for us today here?
well, we're going to keep the wizard theme going here because this is the weird, the wonderful Excalibur.
There you go. Very
John
nice.
Borman. Yeah. They said it was almost impossible to film Sir Thomas Malory's Le Morte d'Arthur. I've read the book. It is an absolute juggernaut. And this movie, I think, came the closest to it. Of all the Arthurian legend movies, I think this one really captured the spirit, captured the book.
Yeah.
Well, did an awesome job. I mean, the cool thing about the Arthurian myths is there are so many, and you can interpret them anywhere you want. But this was an ambitious undertaking, and it's a weird movie, and it's a long movie, and it's got some great scenes though, and it's got some interesting actors. I mean, Nicol Williamson as Merlin. Yeah, is an interesting choice. You got Helen Mirren as Morgan Le Fay, an early appearance by Liam Neeson as Gawain, Patrick Stewart as Lodegrance, and Gabriel Byrne as Uther Pendragon, and Nigel Terry, who played King Arthur. It's just, I love the Arthur legends, and again, if you've read Sir Thomas Malory's book, which is kind of it could be argued it's the definitive King Arthur story. Le Morte d'Arthur, they did a really nice job with capturing that. And it's just got that weird kind of otherworldly tone to it. I mean, John Borman makes some weird movies, but it definitely has that otherworldly quality to it. I remember watching it the first time I saw it, and I'm like, it's almost like it's a dream. It's like there's scenes that are kind of fuzzy looking. It's got almost like a fog over it. It's a really, I think it's a well done movie. Artistically, it's fantastic, and it probably has its flaws, but it's as far as King Arthur movies go, it's my favorite.
I agree completely.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the better telling of Arthur legend. I agree. Michael Palin was interviewed when they were talking about Holy Grail.
Yeah.
He said, we went with Holy Grail because nobody really knows the story anyway.
Yeah.
It was his comment. But that really nailed it. I mean, even when like Arthur stopped fighting and dropped to his knee, you're right, I can't hold till him a night. And that it was also the stories of the night, not the magic part. The whole beginning of this type of life. Yeah. And that's why I really liked it too. And the music was well. Yeah. Because that went from otherworldly to almost orchestral. Some cases orchestral with it. And that actually adds to the tale, Like,
I was going to say it's almost operatic, but I think orchestral is a better term.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's, I mean, for its time, it was really, really something. I mean, John, I remember, we met in '87, and you and your brother or maybe it was Paul showing me that. And you're just like, I don't think at 81, I think I was 13 or something, 12 or 13 or something like that. So I didn't see it. But it's a heck of it's an ambitious, it's an extremely ambitious
That's
movie.
the word, ambitious. They really went for it,
and it's well done. It's a well done flick. It's one of those ones today you would want to watch on like a Sunday afternoon while you were sprawled on the couch. Excalibur's on. Okay, I'm gonna watch this now. It's something like that. It's really something. I love the scene where Arthur comes back years later in the final battle. With that long beard, and he just starts smashing people. He's got that wound that's really never healed from all those years. It's quite a everybody's just so damn human. They're just these people that are at one point, sort of, I don't want to say superhuman, but they just got so many human frailties. They've just got so many these legendary sort of warriors, and you've got magic, and but at the end of the day, everybody's driven by such human ambitions, and faults, that it undoes them. They're all undone simply by the most basic of human traits.
But when the final battle came between good and evil, you saw who stood up where.
Everybody rallies in the end, and
they're like, let's go.
And that's kind of, if you've ever read the Mallory book, this movie kind of really fleshed out a lot of that, with the battles and the good and evil and all that kind of stuff,
Well, I mean, even the basic thing like Uther Pendragon, like he just wants to sleep with
Igraine.
He just wants, that's, it's like the most simple thing, I just want to bang this chick, and I've got this wizard over here who's going to disguise me as her husband.
Who's dead on the battlefield.
And like Lancelot, he wants to sleep, he and Guinevere, and these sorts of things. And then, you've got Morgan Le Fay, who's the jilted woman. And then you've got the vengeful son who hates his father.
Mordred.
And just all these classic, sort of, tragic, qualities. Because that's ultimately what it is. It's a tragedy. But I mean, even today, and Ryan and I have been talking about this for a while. They're still doing Arthur. I just picked up a copy of The Green Knight. A24 has done Sir Gawain in The Green Knight with Dev Patel as Gawain. They're still interpreting this.
It's
one of my favorites. Well, one of my favorites is the one. Well, I think that means my personal favorite is the one with Clive Owen. King Arthur that interprets him as a Roman soldier.
That's more of a historical based one.
So I mean, these are solid tellings. But they're rooted in sort of everyday things, and I think that's why people can relate to them so much. All right, Eric's here. He says, listen to a podcast on Excalibur. I've never seen it, but that podcast made it sound so cool.
Check it out. Eric, put aside some time to watch it because it's long.
Make sure you have you have the kids somewhere or something. You can't watch it with kids. You actually have to listen to it. It's kind of a dialogue movie. That kind of thing. All right. So John, number 8, what do you got for us?
To go completely to the opposite of Excalibur.
Indeed.
My childhood. Great. The Wizard of Oz.
There we go. Oh, jeez.
Hey, you know what, though?
You got flying monkeys. You got witches. You got a talking lion. You have a Tin Man. Forget bounds. These people represented, certain things in America. From when Dorothy steps out of the house of the tornado in black and white and steps into color. As the simplest trick that they could do. To show that you're in a fantasy world.
Yep.
She stepped into a fantasy.
Yep.
And it's told from the point of view of a child.
Yeah.
Before Judy Garland, Shirley Temple was supposed to play.
That's right. I heard that. Yeah. Yeah.
She was supposed to be a little child who, like all little kids, when they get mad, I want to get away from home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you know, like, what's the line at the end when Glinda goes, all you had to do was click your heels and, you click your heels and go home.
Yeah.
But that would be the journey. She had to go through all of that to get through with it. I will. Is it simple? Yes. But not as simple as I think as people put it. There's a lot more. There's a lot more to this than they give credit.
Yeah.
So I will put this as, is it family friendly? Yes. But I will put this as a fantasy film.
It definitely is.
There's a lawyer friend
of mine in Philadelphia who will not watch this movie anymore because when he was a kid, he saw the flying monkeys and screamed and ran out of the room.
Dude, this movie freaks me the fuck out. Actually, with her legs sticking out from under the house. What the hell is this?
Well, you know what?
Look at my parents. What the hell are you showing me?
It's the first. The Wizard of Oz is the first American fairy tale. The book was written actually 121 years ago. 1901, I think, was the first when it was published. L. Frank Baum wrote a bunch of Oz books. They were popular. He wrote at least 12 of them. Yeah, I played the wizard in the musical version, and then I actually directed a version of it at the high school. It's, you can't deny the power of this movie. You can't. It's an American classic, and it is a fantasy movie.
I always thought it was an introduction for younger kids to fantasy as well.
That's a good way to put it. Yes, it's definitely like a gateway movie.
Entry level.
Yeah.
I was going. This movie freaked me out. Between, like, cause a house landed on, and you just see her, like, the witch's legs sticking out.
And then
the flying monkeys, and then a green goddamn woman, I'll get you, and you're like, what the hell is this? Now, for me personally, I was sorely actually tempted, and I didn't include this in my list, but for a half a second, I was going to make this my number one movie.
Really?
But then again, I don't watch it. So, but I was going to say simply and then I found a movie that I felt was really appropriate for my number one. So we'll get to that next week. But I simply for the impact that it's had.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Throughout the years, that it's maintained its relevance.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that on many levels, it's just a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
It's not a movie that I watch. If it's on, I don't style the Wizard of. I'm like, I'm not watching that woman again.
I mean,
it still freaks me out from when I was 7. But you can't argue. About how good it is.
Now, if I can jump in for this, and you're going to yell at me, because I took a movie out because I thought I had a lot of other movies that were like this. I took out Conan the Barbarian and put in The Wizard of Oz. And the reason why I did it was that during Thanksgiving this year, I'm sitting in the corner because they put me in this corner of a table because of my legs being sore. They're like, don't worry about it. And I'm watching everybody walk by, and I'm with my nephew, who's in his 20s, and a younger, like, grandnephew who's 8. And I start going, and they start following me, and it's everybody's marching through the room. It was like perfect rhythm.
That's cool.
And I'm like, I have to include this because that's the first thing I thought when I saw it.
Because if it was Conan, then you start hacking everybody at the table under the mountain of power.
Chopping the meat.
That would be a completely different Thanksgiving. Yeah.
So it's also doing on the turkey.
Have a little fire, Scarecrow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well, it's interesting too, the choices that they made with the Wizard of Oz movie from the book. Like, just real quick, if you read the book, the witch carries an umbrella for
Right.
obvious reasons because she don't like water. You know, and the Tin Man, how he became the Tin Man, it's actually kind of gross because he was in love with a Munchkin girl, and the witch enchanted his axe. The father went to the witch and she enchanted his axe, and it cut off a body part, and he had it replaced with tin. And so eventually his whole entire body was replaced with tin. It's really kind of creepy, you know?
Okay, yeah.
I'm glad they left that part out of the movie. Yeah.
All right, hold on. We got Eric here, and he says The Wizard of Oz is a classic. I think the Wicked Witch of the West is a great villain and is one of my favorite villains. I mean, think of it. She literally was to murder a preteen. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He said L. Frank Baum's books are so creepy and at times scary stuff. Just look at the adaptation of Return to Oz. That's a mixture of 2 and 3,
which is a fantastic
super dark.
movie.
Yeah.
The flying monkeys literally rip the scarecrow to shreds and tosses insides all over the forest. It's a horrible image if you think of it, so I'm not going to think of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually why they made the show. When the Tin Man said to the scarecrow, you know, the scarecrow goes, "Oh, they took my legs and they threw it over there, and they took my arms and they threw it over there," and the Tin Man, well, that's you all over. They threw that in on purpose too, as a joke.
You know, I mean, we shouldn't discount the quality of the performances.
Oh yeah,
obviously,
because they're really, really believable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really, really believable. And it's an all-time classic. So yeah, it definitely belongs on any top 10 list. I'd argue a top 5. You know, it's not a favorite, but you can't discount what it is.
I was the wizard. I played the wizard in 3 touring companies, man.
It's a
good
part.
It's a fun part. But Alaska and Hawaii. I played.
Okay. I have fun with that part. It's a fun part. Yeah.
It's a fun part.
Yeah.
All right. That brings me back to moi and my number 8. Now, my number 8 probably strays a little bit towards, and it's just ever so slightly into magic realism.
Okay.
But I said the hell with it. I'm going to do it anyway because I love this movie. I'm going with it. You guys are going to laugh your asses off when I pull this out. I'm going with Chocolat.
Yeah!
I love this fucking movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, so yeah.
Dude, I'm with you. I love this movie too.
Yeah, it's got another ensemble. You got Julia Binoche. You got Alfred Molina is.
I love Alfred Molina.
Alfred Molina is the antagonist in this movie, and he's such a constipated jerk.
Oh God, yeah.
He's just a jerk. He's just such a stiff, and it's the story of this woman, who's Julia Binoche, who's a bit of a gypsy, I guess you could call her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she has what you could consider to be gypsy blood inside of her from her mother.
Okay.
And she opens in France this chocolaterie in this very stuffy conservative town that is run by this comte, Alfred Molina. And she's able to infuse magic, for lack of a better, she infuses very subtly magic into this chocolate, into these sweets that she makes every day. And she actually slowly, a bit at a time, manages to transform the whole town.
Yeah.
From this stuffy, fearful, constipated kind of town into almost like a bohemian kind of village, which is everything that Alfred Molina can't stand.
Yeah. Did they ban chocolate in the town, Mike?
Huh?
Did they ban chocolate in the town?
They might have. They might have.
I thought was very funny. She's opened up a chocolate store and they said, "No, we banned it."
It's this ultra Catholic, conservative Catholic French village. Alfred Molina, his his relative drove out all the Huguenots, which he's very proud of, all like the liberals and everything like that. So it's Juliette Binoche versus Alfred Molina.
Yeah.
And she's got this daughter, though, who's very cute and just hates this sort of hop, skipping, and jumping life that they lead going from place to place, because eventually they're almost always driven out for one reason or another.
Right.
And so she tries to settle down roots in here. It's got Lena Olin.
Yep.
Johnny Depp is in it. Judy Dench. It's a fantastic and fun movie.
Oh, that's cool.
Johnny Depp playing music, and I wasn't annoyed.
Yeah.
You know, because he picked up the guitar and he's trying to swoon the woman, and it's going back, and it was such flirtatious nature.
Yeah,
it really worked. It was. I am so with you on this.
Yeah, it's well written. It's well performed. It's a fantastic story. And it's not within the realms of movies that I normally watch, but I own a copy of this.
Okay.
And at any moment, I'm happy to pop it in and
There's one thing missing from this movie.
What?
Alfred Molina doesn't have that snotty whiplash type mustache, you know.
Yeah, he's almost got like a short little Hitler stash or something like that. It's almost like a Hitler stash. And his love interest in it is Carrie Ann Moss.
Yep.
Oh, geez.
But the problem is, and what's wrong with Alfred Molina is that he's so unhappy. Like he's super uptight and he keeps everybody in line, but at the end it's revealed he's so unhappy because his wife has left him.
Okay.
And he's been waiting for like 2 years for her to come back, and it's obvious to everybody she's like never coming back. And in the end, Juliette Binoche manages to break through to him, and the village is kind of restored to a happy place.
Okay.
Hold on a second. We got some comments here.
Huh? He's singing Wizard of Oz.
Oh. All right. I had no idea that chocolate had magic in it. I thought it was just a typical Depp love story. Now I'm interested in watching it. You would enjoy it. Watch it with the old lady. Because that's how I ended up watching it.
It's very funny. There's a lot of humor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a great film. I'm proud to have this on my list. All right. That brings us to number 7. And Ryan, what do you got for us? Number 7.
All right. This one is, I think, hands down the best thing Tim Curry ever did. And it is, of course, Legend.
All right. All right. Can't argue with that.
And it's such a simple story. The guy goes on the quest to save the princess. But what they did with it, and what gets me about this movie is the makeup is so good. It scares me to this day.
That's right.
Especially that big hag thing that comes out of the swamp. Yeah. Who's played by Robert Picardo, actually. That thing scares the crap out of me. And of course, Tim Curry as the devil in this or the darkness, whatever he's called.
The Lord of Darkness.
Yeah. He's clearly the devil. But I mean, what a performance. If there was one performance of his career that I would say is career defining, it's this. And for the longest time, I didn't know it was him until I was like, I was reading the credits. I'm like, wait, Tim Curry? That was Tim Curry? I mean, because he's under so much makeup. And I'm not a huge fan of Tom Cruise, but this was before Tom Cruise got annoying. And, I think he was still cutting his teeth. And I thought he was good as the hero in this. And Ridley Scott, as far as I know, doesn't do a lot of straight fantasy movies like this. And I thought it was just it's a simple story, but it works. And it's the performances, it's the makeup. that goblin. It's really like one of those visually. It's just like every time you see it, it's just bam. And I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell am I watching? Because there are some moments where it's just weird and you're like, what's going on? But
Right.
you're mesmerized by Tim Curry. I mean, he owns that movie, and it's like I said, simple story, but the way it's executed is absolutely perfect. And another, like, for hardcore fantasy fans, like, if you haven't seen this movie, I don't have to describe it. Everybody's seen this, hopefully. I mean, I think everybody's seen this at one point or another,
Hold on, we got Eric here, and he says Tim Curry's makeup, including those damn horns, is no less than incredible. And it's a Ridley Scott and Tom Cruise movie to boot. Amazing movie. Yeah.
I forgot about Ridley Scott.
Yeah. You don't think of it as a Ridley Scott movie because it's not one of his main ones. You think of them as Alien and, Blade Runner, all that stuff. But this one kind of falls under the deck sometimes. It kind of goes under the radar, But it's awesome. I love watching it. It's such,
My mother could never understand why, when I was a teenager, I went and saw Rocky Horror at the midnight shows.
Okay.
I went with a group of us. Used to go. We had a good time, and I got me out. But she saw Tim Curry on it. She goes, okay. But then she saw this. And I said, Mom, and I showed a picture of him as the darkness.
Yeah.
Then as Frankenfooter.
Yeah.
I said, this is this. No. Yeah. This is it.
It can't be. Yeah.
My mother was the first person who started using audiobooks because her eyes were going.
Mm-hmm.
If Tim Curry read the audiobook, she got it.
Okay. Wow.
She fell in love with him.
Oh.
Because he was, she was like, oh my God, because she saw that, and then right after that she saw Hallmark's Oliver Twist, and Tim Curry played Bill.
Oh, okay.
In it, and she's like, "That's can't be." I'm like, "That's the same guy."
Yeah,
she became a Tim Curry fan after seeing Legend.
Wow,
and,
that's cool.
She was like she was very, I wouldn't say conservative, but like, oh God, are you kidding me? Like when she saw his transvestite.
The movie that got me to be a Tim Curry fan was Clue. And I had seen Clue before Legend, and I love Clue too. But and it's so sad what happened to him. In recent years, he had a massive stroke, and he's in a wheelchair, and he's actually come a long way from when it hit him, and it's only been a couple of years. But he still talks to fans, as much as he can. He's still, signs autographs and stuff like that. I mean, because he's British, but he's like a national treasure. People love this guy.
He's played villains in a lot of movies, and they've turned around and said, why? And he said, because they're delicious roles.
Exactly.
Because I can sink my teeth in them.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, in this, he's the ultimate evil, and I'm going, having the stuff he's saying, I'm going, wait, that makes sense. When I was listening to it, as the way he was presenting it.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's the strength of Curry's performance that really turns the movie into something. Because otherwise you'd be caught with a lot of flighty, pixie-ish kind of scenes, which on their own, it would be like, But then you have this complete contrast. 180 with Curry, playing this role, and that initial scene. To this day, where he steps out of, I think, the mirror or the fire, and you can hear the cloven hoof hit the floor, and you're just like, oh man, this is something else. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of what's who gets overlooked in that movie is Mia Sara. And her she plays it with him perfectly. in those castle scenes, and that's maybe the
Yep.
last 30 minutes of the movie or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Also, the cinematography of the scenes, because again, and I'm talking about the Curry Castle scenes, because again, there's the Meg character in that scene at the bog, where they're crossing the swamp. But otherwise, it's just, it's another pixie-ish 80s, kind of fantasy movie. But this was so much darker than any of the others. And so that had Ridley Scott all over it.
And it's
what a lot of people don't, I saw this one time. You remember that James Lipton show, Inside the Actors Studio? And he would do those 60-minute shows at the New School in New York, and he would have different people on there. And he had Tom Cruise on there one time, and it was one of those rare ones where it was a 2-hour show. And when you really started to go down his list, you realize it broke down into 2 categories. One where he did like the thing where he grinned for 2 hours, and then the other thing where he did, and you're like, oh shit, I forgot he was in it. That was really good. Oh shit, I forgot he was in there. That was really good. And he has this whole other solid body of great dramatic work. I'm not sure that this is his finest performance. I think he could have been anybody in this movie.
Oh yeah.
This could have been played by anyone, but he did as the Jack character. But I mean, it's just, he has quite a list of movies where, I mean, I think he gets a lot of flack for being Tom Cruise, but he's actually done quite an impressive roster of work. This is another movie that he's in. I mean, that's just top notch. I don't know that he adds all that much to it, but that's just the limitations of the role.
Well,
yeah.
It's not like I liked what you said. He goes, I don't know if it's what he adds to it.
Yeah.
He doesn't detract from it.
No, he doesn't
at all. He doesn't. Really, I don't see him walking on in that film going, oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
It's like,
You're like, oh shit, Tom Cruise is in this. Okay, I almost forgot about that.
There's a couple, and I agree with you, because there's movies that Tom is in that he's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's other movies I'm like, oh, it's shit and giggles.
Yeah.
There's Tom, popping his way through.
Yeah.
But it still is. It's this was another one when I came close, and I got to admit, when I saw your list with Legend on it, I was like, I'm not going to put that one on there.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because you put yours on the group list right away. Yeah, okay.
That's what we did with the other one.
Oh yeah,
so,
I figure from now on, just send them to me personally, and that way, we can kind of,
surprise each other.
All right, hold on. Eric's here one more time, and he says, I think Cruise's personality overshadows his work now. Lots of movies out there that people forget that he's done. Minority Report is a great one for us. Yeah, it's a great movie. There's, I think I think Scorsese, one of Scorsese's best movies is The Color of Money.
Right.
I haven't seen that.
You've got, and I love this, and people hate it. I'd love to cover it one of these days. Interview with the Vampire.
I love the movie.
Which one?
Color of Money.
Oh yeah, Color of Money is. I think it's a perfect movie.
That, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we started, and it's a perfect fucking movie because Scorsese actually creates a movie where he gets to play annoying Tom Cruise on purpose.
Yeah.
That's what Paul Newman picks up on him. Yeah. That flaky sort of grinning with those big teeth. If you walk into a pool hall doing that, everyone's either going to want to punch you in the mouth or take all your money at the pool table. And that's where the hustle is, because you think he's just a moron. It never occurs to you that he's like the best pool player maybe on the whole East Coast, because he's such a fucking flake at the same time.
Yeah.
That's one of Scorsese's best movies, and it's underrated because it's not a mafia movie.
That's right.
It's not a mob movie. And Joe Pesci isn't in it. All right. Wait, who's up? Number 7. John, what do you got for us?
I went right back to the Jim Henson.
All right.
Because Jim Henson affected me, but this was a movie I saw as a teenager. And I remember having to rewind it. My dad, these are VCR days. I had to rewind it because I saw the ending and went, wait, what? And my dad busted out laughing. The Dark Crystal.
That's my number 6.
There's our one incident of overlap. Let's just get it out of the way. Now, I don't know how you guys want to handle it. I'll leave it up to you.
I'll
Go
keep
ahead,
it
John.
very
You go
simple.
first.
I'll keep it very simple and talk about how it affected to me.
Yeah.
I never expected in a fantasy movie. This is the first time I ever saw a fantasy movie. No joke intended with puppets. There's
Yeah.
not one real person. And I
Yeah.
sat there and said, "Oh, this is going to be cute." And 20 minutes into it, I'm going, "This is fantastic."
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it has the wizardry realm, it has the different life creatures or life forms,
Yeah.
and how they actually blended together. There was
Yeah.
wonderful little jokes that were in it. One of my favorites is when Jen was in trouble, and I can't remember the name of the girl who's part of his race. Kira comes down with the wings and lifts him up, and he says, "You got wings?" And he goes, "Yeah, I have wings." He goes, "I don't have wings." "You're a boy, silly," and walks away. I mean, there was things like that I found, and it played with the child in me, remembering Jim Henson from the Muppets.
Yeah.
And at the end, when they both blended together.
Yeah, to make that.
I realized one had to go with the other. The light had to go with the dark.
The Urskeks,
Wait, did I see that right? My dad busted out laughing. And he said, "I did the same thing too. I want to make sure that what it was." It was a brilliant story.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, it was.
Were really scary.
Yeah.
But and oh my God! At one point in time, I'm watching this going, the heroes aren't going to win. Holy shit! They're going to kill the Muppet. And I'll stop right there. Because I'll talk about how it affected me. Story-wise, it was to me. I also thought it was brilliant. It was a completely different world.
Yeah.
And I bought into it. And it wasn't science fiction-y. They didn't have lightsabers. I'm not picking on Star Wars.
No.
But it was like, it had that combination of different creatures, but also bringing in different elements. And by the end, you're going, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
Oh my God. And that's why I included it. It's one of the few fantasy films that made me go, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Ryan,
all right.
Well, hold off to your number 6.
Yeah. I'll hold off. That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. For me personally, I saw this in the theater, and I haven't seen it since. I remember being a fan of the Muppets, and of course, growing up with Sesame Street, and walking in thinking this was going to be not necessarily that. It wasn't going to be the Muppet Show. I knew that. I remember it was quite intricate.
yeah.
I don't.
Really good word.
I don't remember all that much about it, except it was dark. It was dark. Like,
yes, it is.
Doesn't something very violent happen, like kind of early on or something along those lines?
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the hell is this? And it sort of freaked me out because, it would be like watching Fozzie Bear murder somebody. And you're like, wait a minute, what's happening here? I didn't see this coming. For one reason or another, I haven't gotten back to see it again. I'll have to, maybe get around to it one of these days. Hold on a second. Eric's here, I think. It says The Dark Crystal was one of my dad's and is one of my sister's favorite movies of all time. I don't know why I haven't seen it yet. I should probably change that.
Yes, you should.
So, okay. Well, it's going to pop up here twice on this list. So clearly it has a loyal following. So,
people with beards that like it, I think.
Well, not everybody. Well, I don't dislike it. I just haven't seen it since '85.
About it, but
yeah. I got it.
But it's
go ahead.
No, it's. I still can't get over the fact that it's puppets.
Yeah.
And I was moved. I was felt. It was like watching,
actual performers.
Actual performance, being emotions and things like that.
Yeah.
Better than some other fantasy films that I've seen a couple times ago. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, as long as it's better than The Princess Bride, I'm okay.
There you go.
Fucking princess.
Inconceivable.
My ass.
Did you like The Princess Bride or no?
I love The Princess Bride.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Yeah, all right. That brings me to
you.
Me. All right. And number 7. My number 7 was a movie that I saw, and I don't think I've ever done this. I think I saw this 5 times in the theater.
Wow.
Which means like I literally went to the cinema 5 times to see this, and I think I went, on 2 or 3 occasions with different people, and I think I went on 2 more occasions just to see it again myself, because I couldn't believe that somebody had actually done this. I'm going with, and I think it was 1999 or 2000. I can't remember exactly. I'm going with Ang Lee's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Ooh,
Oh,
very nice.
wow, I forgot about this movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I personally grew up in the era of Saturday afternoons and black belt theater.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I grew up watching those 1970s Run Run Shaw,
Yeah.
Golden Harvest,
Yep.
Chinese kung fu movies.
Yep.
If we were talking about Japanese movies, samurai, they're completely different types of
Yeah.
martial arts movies. There's very little action, and they
Mhm.
focus essentially on storyline. So they're
Mhm.
fantastic stories with good action. The Shaw movies were the over-the-top sort of campy,
Yeah.
ridiculous sort of, martial arts, on people on strings flying through the air, this sort of thing. And most of the stories were awful. And so you just sort of watched them for the over-the-top action scenes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then Ang Lee came along in 2000 and seemed to just put it together with this beautiful story.
Yeah.
Mm.
And just this gorgeous over-the-top, but just it was. I will use this term. I thought it was operatic.
It was. I think so. I think that's a good.
These
term.
choreographed action scenes
Yeah.
that are just beautiful to watch. And I said, my God, somebody finally made one of these movies with somebody polished.
Mhm.
The fight scenes and came up with a beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah.
To watch. And if you don't know it and you watch this in the replay, or if Eric is watching it and hasn't seen it, it's the story of a sword that gets stolen by a young girl who just unintentionally just starts this spiral of disaster and just all these awful things where people's lives just end up getting ruined. And you wouldn't think that you would put that into a kung fu movie.
Mhm.
But they have here, and it's beautiful to watch. It's a beautiful story.
Mhm.
Chow Yun-fat is just fantastic in this. Michelle Yeoh
I love Michelle
is
Yeoh. Yeah.
amazing in this.
Yeah. She's cool.
There's a heavy focus on the women in these stories, with the Jade Fox character, who's the criminal who's raised this girl in secret like all these years, and it's just heartbreaking. At the end, when things just kind of go completely south. Like I said, I went to see it 5 times because I had waited maybe 15 years for someone to make a beautiful kung fu movie like this, and they made a few more after this with like Jet Li's Hero, and a couple of other movies like this that are just absolutely stunning to watch. It easily should have in my top 10.
Can't hear you. Is he talking? John, we can't hear you.
I always thought.
Oh, there you are. I can hear you now.
All right.
Yeah.
Now my something happened with my phone, so I had to switch a plug.
Okay.
Oh,
No, I can hear
Wait,
you
can
now.
you hear me? No problem. I switched to something else. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
I think, Mike, the reason why you went to the movies 5 times, it was besides being a good story, Ang Lee is perfect for stuff like this.
Yeah.
Taking the big and then keeping it centered and focused. And it's one of the things he doesn't get any credit for. Yeah. But Ang Lee was brilliant in the direction of this. I remember seeing it and actually weeping, which I was not expecting to do.
Yeah.
In a karate film.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's
So yeah, I
beautiful.
agree with you completely. It's
It's
beautiful.
beautiful. I remember Ang. I remember, and he gets a lot of heat for this, but Ang Lee directed a Hulk movie.
Yeah, I
Right.
remember
And it
that.
gets
Yeah.
it gets a lot of heat because the sort of villains he created were ridiculous. But there's one scene in there where he goes into this dream within a dream within a dream, and I'm
Mhm.
just like, oh my! Like, if you could miss the scene if you're not paying attention. But I'm like, oh my god, this is beautiful. Did he just do that? Did he just go like a dream within a dream, like
Yep.
3 layers? And you're
Mhm.
just
Yep.
like,
Mm.
did he just? And you're like, holy shit! You know, like this is
Yeah.
amazing. He's a great director, and I don't think he gets nearly enough credit.
I agree. I agree completely. Two friends of mine have worked with him
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
on 2 different movies, and one of them was the Hulk movie.
Okay.
And I watched it, and everybody's going, "Oh, didn't you think it was horrible?" I said, "Not really.
Yeah, I
It
like that
wasn't
movie.
what I was expecting, but
I
it was a
haven't
lot
seen
better than I
that
thought
one.
it was going to be."
I haven't seen that Hulk movie.
It's Sam Elliott as Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah, and Jennifer Connelly, right?
Yeah, she's Betty.
Yeah, yeah.
I forget who Glenn Talbot is. They actually introduced the Glenn Talbot character.
Yeah.
It's I thought it was a pretty good movie. Nick Nolte and that's a little, but you know. But I mean, this was just a beautiful, beautiful movie.
Oh, God.
And, yeah, I own it, and at any time that it comes on, I'm happy to watch it.
It's
Fantastic.
amazing that fantasy films can be treated beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
Beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was a major. This was an Academy Award winner on like several levels. I think it was.
Yeah.
He may
But,
have won
you know-
for best director. Did he win for that? Hold on a second.
I don't know.
No, I can't remember. He may have actually won, or he was up for best director, and it was up for best picture. And yeah,
He's won Best Director twice. I know one was for Brokeback Mountain.
Oh yeah, did he win for Brokeback Mountain?
Yeah, he won for
Okay.
Brokeback Mountain, and there was another one, which I think it might be that.
It might be.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I could be wrong on that too, but
Eric says that Eric Bana. Yeah, Eric Bana. That's right. He was
Yeah.
Banner. Yeah,
He
it
was
was
Bruce
good
Banner.
as Bruce Banner. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I like him better than Ruffalo. I can't stand Ruffalo. All right. That brings us to number 6.
number 6, people.
Number 6. And so you're clear. We are going to be stopping at 6 and then coming back for the top 5 next week.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. So Ryan, number 6. What do you got for us?
Well, it's the Dark Crystal.
Okay.
Was my 6. And for me, it was, I think, if I remember correctly, it was the first movie I ever saw in 1982. I was 5 years old. And I don't know why. I mean, I think my dad brought us because we thought it was, hey, it's a Jim Henson, thing.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, it just blew me away. I mean, Jim Henson, as I said before, was one of my absolute idols. He was one of the people that I looked up to. And his imagination in this movie is just astounding. The world building that he did. I have a book that, if I could find it, I don't know where it is, about this movie. It's like a companion book to the Dark Crystal movie.
I remember that.
I was obsessed with it. The world building of this movie is absolute, and that's one thing I love about fantasy stories and fantasy movies is the world building. This is one of those movies where it's such an immersive experience, and it is dark. There's a lot of things in here that I think the one scene that really upset me when I was little was when those little podling people got their like soul sucked out. And, their eyes go white. And yeah, I remember just sitting there watching, like, what is this? Like, it's absolutely magnificent. It is a brilliant, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that Jim Henson wanted to do. These kind of things like I think Dark Crystal, I think it's better than Labyrinth, and I love Labyrinth. But it's a different movie. But this kind of stuff, the Dark Crystal was the kind of fantasy that Jim Henson wanted to do. And I think if it's carried over into that television series, The Storyteller, that he did,
Right.
It's that same kind of thing.
Right.
He was such an original, creative mind, and I know another scene I got upset when those Strider things that they're riding on get killed. One of those gets killed, and
Yeah.
but again, like the Skeksis are just these creepy, just ugly looking things, and the one that kept going, that always freaked me out. And but that's the only time you see human performers in the movie are the Skeksis are human performers, and the lady Aughra with the eye in her head. But the rest, the puppetry is amazing, and Jim Henson, what he did for puppetry, because people kind of pass off puppetry as like, it's kid stuff. But what he did, the things he did in that movie were so revolutionary and innovative. And like you said, John, the entire movie is carried by puppets. You care for them. You're so emotionally invested in this movie. And it is a dark movie. It is there's a couple times where it's very bleak, and I remember that ending being confused, like, wait, the Urs and the Skeksis kind of combined to make this Urskex, but they were part of this whole, and it was really, when you're 5 years old watching that, it goes over your head. But as you watch it, watching it now, it's just wild. I mean, you can really appreciate it on another level. And it's so popular that it spawned a prequel series on Netflix, I think. And I started watching that, and I somehow lost track of it. I have to get back into it, because again, it's amazing what they can do. It is, I think, one of the, of all time, not on my list, but of all time, I think it's one of the best fantasy films, one of the most original fantasy films that has ever been made, and we'll ever see. There will never be, like, nobody will ever try to remake this or touch it in any way other than like the prequel kind of thing like that, because Jim Henson's vision was so unique. I mean, again, it's just, we covered it, and I could gush about Jim Henson all night, but it's just, it's
and to give a credit to someone I think that gets ignored in this movie, and it was my fault too, and it was also Frank Oz.
Frank Oz,
Jim Henson. I mean, if Jim Henson is Don Quixote, Frank Oz is Sancho.
Oh yeah, they were sidekicks to the end.
Let's go.
And
that's, I think, also added to it, because you had somebody saying, "No, I'm with you. Let's go."
It
was a beautiful world.
Yeah, and it was ambitious, and I think it initially didn't do well, because people didn't know what to expect. They walked in expecting the Muppets, because of Jim Henson's previous, like Mike, because of the previous stuff, they had never seen anything like this before. And it just knocks your socks off. It's it's absolutely amazing.
Any chance that I see it anywhere, like on YouTube, I sit and watch it.
I haven't shown it. I haven't shown it to my kids yet. I probably should, but it's such a fantastic movie.
I hear Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Show my kids.
It's scary. It does have scary moments in it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's something, man. So.
All right, that brings us to number 6, which is almost the end of the line. Hold on, number 6, and that brings us back to. Wait a minute, John. Number 6.
Yeah.
Carry on. Sorry, I lost our train there.
Actually, as much as I liked, and I did, I'm a huge Jim Henson fan. When I saw this book turned into a movie, and I'm going, oh man, how am I going to pull this off? And then I realized it was Spike Jonze. Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh,
okay.
I genuinely was surprised that when I saw the preview, that Spike Jonze was doing this, and then I saw everybody that was involved in it. I'm like, I got to go see this if they pulled it off. And they kind of really did. Like, one of the things I liked about it is the kid whose name is Max in it is not so nice. He's very mischievous.
Yeah, yeah.
And the story where they said, okay, you can be the king, and he realized it's not going to be happy. He's got to take all the response. He's got to be the adult. They go, well, you're in charge. You're, They were the ones that were showing him. And some of the creatures were actually mean.
Yeah.
To him. They were vicious to him. They wanted to, but they were such larger than life characters. I found myself smiling a lot through this movie. James Gandolfini, Kathleen O'Hara, trying to remember the people who else were in this. They were all playing the parts.
Yeah.
And it was funny because it was all shot on a blue screen when they were around, and then they imposed them in.
Okay.
With like CGI.
Yeah.
And it was the first time stuff that was done because this was pre-Iron Man.
Yeah.
Or just about, at the time when so they were screwing around with this, and you looked at it, and it's like, this kid's playing with my friends that I liked when I was a kid in a book. Son of a bitch. Got to play with them. And it is. This is probably one of I would say, the last childish thing, because the child what brought me into the fantasy realm. But I saw it when I was an adult, and it took me right back to being a kid. And I really got into it. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely story. And I'm sorry, I like Spike Jonze.
Yeah. Let me ask something, because I hate to. This is another movie I haven't seen. I saw a brief moment of it, and something in it. I can't. It was with Gandolfini and the boy Max.
Yeah.
It just seems sad.
In the book itself, it starts to be sad because it's like not to really get into like even hippie music, but like if you ever listen to the song "Puff the Magic Dragon," the boy grows up and he starts to leave. When he goes back, it's a symbolic thing. When he's going back, that he now has to grow up and he has to leave these things behind. And the Gandolfini character didn't want him to go because he knew he was
maybe that's the part that I saw, and it was this isn't what I thought it was going to be. This is sad.
Did we give you the strength to go on? Did we, did you learn your lessons? But now you have to go. You're growing up now. And there's a lot of that in some fantasy films, left and right. I mean, it's Christmas time, and if you ever saw The Polar Express, the ending of that movie is sad.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard a lot of people cry.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I've never seen it. I've never seen
it.
Yeah,
but that's the point. The point about it is what you believe and what you're saying goodbye to your friends. Dorothy has to say goodbye to the Tin Man, the Lion, and the Wizard. She has to tell the Tin Man, Oz never gave you nothing that you didn't already have.
Now, did I saw this in the theater with my wife. It was very enjoyable. Now, was Maury Sendak alive when this came out? Did he
I think he was, yes.
I wonder what his opinion on it was. I don't know.
From what I can gather, it was positive.
Okay, yeah, because this book
wasn't like the wife of Dr. Seuss wanting to punch Mike Myers after Cat in the Hat.
Yeah. Well, that's Dr. Seuss's wife pimped out his work to Hollywood and just ruined it. But I mean,
if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember the guy who wrote the book now. He contributed to the story. Spike Lee wanted to be really genuine to the books and the images.
Spike Jonze?
Spike Jonze, sorry.
I don't think it would be Spike Lee, but
a whole different story.
That would be a totally different movie.
I wouldn't watch that. I wouldn't watch that either. Yeah. So
no, but it was
and there was just something about it because at the time I was in my 40s and I'm watching this and I'm going, God damn, I'm 8 right now.
Yeah. It drew me in, and I was like, but there was something. It was this very sad tone, and I'm like, what the hell's happening? And I was channel surfing, and I happened
and there is a sad tone to it.
Yeah,
because all good things must come to an end.
Because like Gandolfini's voice was very drawn out, like the way he, I was like, oh, okay, all right, maybe I'll catch this the next time, and I just never got around to it.
And it's funny because the people who did the monsters, the wild things, I don't think they get enough credit.
No, they don't.
Because they really
the puppeteers never get.
They were playful but adultish.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Puppeteers never get a lot of credit. I mean,
Eric's saying puppetry is truly an amazing thing. Sadly, it's not as appreciated nowadays as it was, or at least it seems that way. And then we've got folk across the street. What's happening, Roland? Roland is here saying hello, and he said, "Into the woods we all wander."
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
You know Roland, right?
No, I don't.
No, Ryan wouldn't know. No, Ryan doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's up, man? Thanks for stopping by on the show. We appreciate it.
Hi, Roland.
Let's see. I guess that brings me back to me. And I guess this will be the final movie for today. And then we'll come back next week for our top 5. Mm-hmm. So the final number 6 for this evening, I went with a movie that we covered here on the show. And I'm looking at all these movies now, actually, and I don't think we've covered any of these. No, we haven't, except for this one right here, and that is Tim Burton's Big Fish.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
I covered this on the show with Jocelyn, who only seems to fly in for Burton movies, and it's just... It's such a fantastic and fun movie, and at the same time, it's kind of somber about this man who's trying to reconcile with his father as his father is dying, trying to understand who his father is,
right?
Because his father has told nothing his entire life but these sorts of tall tales about who he is.
Yeah.
And so he's on the verge of becoming a father himself. So he's trying to get some wisdom, I guess. And he's got all these resentments against his father because everybody gets it but him. How awesome his father is. Played to perfection by Albert Finney.
Yeah.
Finney is just fantastic in this movie. The wife, Jessica Lange, Billy Crudup. Marianne Cotillard is the wife of the son, and it's just these. And again, the young character of the younger version of Albert Finney played just fantastically, brilliantly by Ewan McGregor.
Yeah,
as you start to go through these tall tales, and trying to figure out what they really are. Did this really happen? Danny DeVito.
Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi. Who is it that? Who is his wife? Burton's wife.
Lisa Marie or
no,
Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah, Helena Bonham Carter. Yeah, it's just such a fun movie.
Right. Yeah, and for me, it's one of my favorite Burton movies. And the ending always gets me. The ending always gets me when he dies and they take him into the water and he becomes a fish and they're all there. All the people from his stories are there. It's like him going into heaven almost. And
the son takes the tail over.
Yeah.
And it's a pass along.
Yeah.
I think I got this, Dad.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the movies where again, where Burton can be his own instead of churning out, a remake or some other stuff.
Blockbusters.
Some inferior
have to do blockbusters.
Like this is right up Tim Burton's alley, and this kind of movie. And I would put it, if I had to rank Tim Burton movies, this would be in the top 5.
Right.
Just for Burton alone. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. And with Burton, you don't always know what to expect. And I never read the book that this was based on. I haven't read the book, but this is just a great movie.
This movie, I got the weirdest compliment from my nephew. I had a nephew, like being from a large family. I have like 25 nieces and nephews, but this one is my godson.
Mm-hmm.
And we went and saw this movie. And my mother, at the time when this movie came out, was going through cancer and she was dying.
Oh.
And so when we went and saw this movie, my nephew Greg was crying. And I turned around and said, "Are you okay?" And I thought he was crying over my mom. And he looked at me and gave me a hug. And I said, "Oh, my God, I now know how we have to bury you."
Oh, jeez.
Because he sees me as the guy who tells the stories, the guy.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh.
Wow, okay. And I'm like, I said, "Thank you, but if I got to go, that's not a bad way to go." But it's...
We'll try not to throw you in the river, John.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be the first time.
That's
But
very true.
The point about, and that's why I think it's what gets emotionally wrapped up, because at the heart, this is a story of the younger generation trying to understand the older generation.
Yeah.
And the passing the ball on.
And
Yeah.
I think Burton had recently lost his own father.
Yeah.
So this was very much a catharsis, kind of, thing for him to, sort of, reconcile that, because obviously, for anyone who's lost a parent, it completely upsets the complete family dynamic of things. And, they're definitely before and after moments in a person's life. Hold on a second. Eric is here and he says, "Big Fish, Burton's last great film. My wife doesn't like Burton." I'm not a Burton fan per se. There are 2, maybe 3 of his movies that I like. I like this and I like Sleepy Hollow. Otherwise, I'm not a huge fan myself, unless it's Batman related. And I'm not a huge fan of that. No interest in seeing his work anymore. I took her to see Big Fish and she loved it. It's that good. And he says, "Great list so far. Can't wait to see a top 5. Sorry I couldn't make it to participate. Work's been crazy, but I'll make up for some of Mike's picks for this month and next." So, yeah, it's always good to have you back on the show, Eric. So we'll be getting back at it real soon.
Cool.
I kind of lost my train of thought there. I was going to say one more thing about this movie, but it's just...
I love the cast of characters. I love all the all the characters that he meets. Like Danny DeVito is the werewolf, and the ringmaster, and the giant, and just all these different characters. And that giant who I read about, I forget his name in real life, but he passed away, I think, shortly after that film because of his condition. Whatever he had, that form of gigantism that he had.
There's I think nowadays they have a procedure where you can remove that particular gland.
No, I don't think it's acromegaly. I don't think it's acromegaly. That's what Andre the Giant and Big Show had. Had. But no, this was something different. I forget. Okay. But and it wasn't isn't Robert Guillaume in Big Fish too?
Yeah.
He's the doctor.
Yeah.
He's the doctor. Yeah. Yeah, and he tells them the story that he has one of the best parts in the movie because instead of telling this tall tale, he tells the real tale of how Billy Crudup. He tells Billy Crudup the real story of how he was born, and it's like there's nothing to it.
Yeah,
it's like dry and it's just boring. And he looks at him, he goes, "Not very special, is it? Maybe you can stop being a jerk to your dad. Appreciate, because like everybody gets it but the son. Everybody gets it but him."
I teach a class called Tall Tales and Folklore, Tall Tales and Legends, and it's about studying areas past and some of the folklore and stories and how they're actually like anthropologists.
Yeah.
But I tell people when I start, I'm a storyteller. That doesn't mean I'm a liar. Because people keep saying storytellers lie. I said there are 3 types of storytellers. Ones who tell the truth, and they're boring. Ones who lie to get attention, and that's where we get the bad reputation. Yeah. And I said you have people like me. Everything I tell you is true. I just make it a lot more interesting for the listener.
That's right. That reminds me of the Blues Brothers. It wasn't lies. It was just bullshit. He just bullshitted you.
Yeah.
And it's funny because somebody turned around and said, when they saw me, it was a friend of mine. He looked at me and went, "Yeah, that's true, because I was on that adventure with you." You know, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's I can easily tell you the facts, and you'll be bored as shit." You know, I can make it a little not lie, but make it a little more interesting, a little more colorful.
Yeah.
All right,
and that's kind of what he did.
Yeah.
All right, last comment. Michael McGrory was the giant. He was also in House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. It's tiny. That's right. Because I remember that I did The Devil's Rejects the day before I did Big Fish. So that was like a complete cognitive fucking leap to go from Rob Zombie one day to Burton the next. Jesus Christ.
That's funny.
So that brings us to a close for today and the first part of the top 10 favorite fantasy films. My thanks to Eric and Roland for stopping by. Always appreciative. This will be the only show that we do for this week. So we're only having the one show today. There's nothing tomorrow. We will be back next Wednesday when we, for the first time, cover a movie for the second time. It's a revisit or a redux, redo, or whatever you call it. When we look once again with more eyes and more brains at Robert Eggers' The Witch on Wednesday, which is actually quite a movie to unpack. That's a fuck all of a movie, man. The Witch is just, Robert Eggers was not fucking around. He just came out swinging like, yeah, that's a crazy ass movie.
Well, swing for the fences, baby.
And he hit it out of the park. And Bill and I were talking about the movie, and we got 30 minutes. We had never done this before on any show with any guest or with anybody else that was on there. And we got 30 minutes into the movie, and we're like, you know what? Let's just stop now. Like, let's come back with more people to unpack this because there's just too much here to do. And so we'll be back next week with about 4 or 5 people to unpack that. Myself, John, Bill will be here, and we'll have the people from Walk the Cinema podcast joining us in their first panel discussion. So that's going to be a good time. And then next Thursday, we'll be back with part 2 of the top 10 list. So my thanks once again to Brom Bones for his contribution here this evening, and of course to John for stopping in one more time and helping us out with some fantasy movies. We'll be back next week. Everybody, that's it for us, and good night.
Good night, folks.
Good night.